An era ended, but the legacy will never end. Students, Stephen Hawking is no more with us. He was the brightest star of science whose insights shaped modern cosmology and inspired global audiences in the millions, has died at the age of 76. His family released a statement in the early hours of Wednesday morning confirming his death at his home in Cambridge. We are deeply saddened that our beloved father passed away today. He was a great scientist and an extraordinary man whose word and legacy will live on for many years. Hawkins' children, Lucy, Robert, and Tim, said in a statement, his courage and persistence with his brilliance and humor inspired people across the world. He once said, it would not be much of a universe if it wasn't home to the people you love. We will miss him forever. Stephen Hawking has left an intellect vacuum in his wake, but it's not empty. Think of it as a kind of vacuum energy permitting the fabric of space-time that defies measure. Stephen Hawking's ripe, a star just went out in the cosmos. We have lost an amazing human being. Stephen Hawking fought and tamed the cosmos bravely for 76 years and taught us all something important about what is truly meant to celebrate about being human. I'll miss him, and we all too. The world, no, the universe, lost an incredible mind today. I am so sad for his family. Ripe Stephen Hawking, and thank you for sharing your brilliant mind with all of us. Whoa, Stephen Hawking kind of feels like a constellation went out or something. I thought we always was and would be. What a life. These were a few sentences by some of the scientists of the world, and this gives us a courage to face the world as Stephen Hawking did in his life. The life of this genius. Stephen was born on January 8, 1942 in Oxford, where his parents had decamped from North London for him to be born away from the worst of the wartime bombing raids. Hawkins was one of 4 children and was the eldest son of Frank and Isabel Hawking, both Oxford University graduates. Despite his father being a respected medical researcher, his parents struggled for money. The Hawkins had been described in many notable biographies as an eccentric family who drove a London taxi and housed bees in the basement of their beaten up old home. His family also produced fireworks, were intense readers, and ate dinners in silence. Even though his father wanted him to go into the medical business, Hawkins was adamant in following his own career path. Stephen always had a strong sense of wonder, and I could see that the stars would draw him. His mother was once quoted saying, even though he would become known for his expertise in theoretical astronomy and cosmology, Hawking was never considered to be an expert student. He was almost all the bottom of his class during his first year at St. Albans School. Things started to change when he was a teenager, with Hawking and a group of friends constructing a computer for solving rudimentary maths equations out of cycled parts. These were all the recycled parts from which this computer was formed. In 1962, he graduated with honors in natural science and went on to attend Trinity Hall at Cambridge University for a PhD in cosmology. The following years, he was given 2 years to live following his diagnosis, and it looked as if his studies were all but finished. In 1966, his thesis on the topic of the creation of universe was approved, and he went on to receive a research fellowship at Gonville and Cassius College. He got his PhD in applied mathematics and theoretical physics, and his essay titled Singularities and the Geometry of Space Time gained top honors to win the 1966 prestigious Adams Prize. In 1974, he became one of the youngest fellow of Britain, most prestigious scientific body, the Royal Society, at the age of 32. In 1979, he was appointed Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge University, where he was moved from Oxford University to study theoretically the astronomy and cosmology. A previous holder of the prestigious post was a 17th century British scientist Isaac Newton. Hawking eventually put Newton's gravitational theories to the test in 2007 when, aged 65, he went on a weightless flight in the United States as a prelude to a hoped for suborbital space flight. Characteristically, he did not see the trip as a mere birthday present. Instead, he said he wanted to show that disability was no bar to achievement and to encourage interest in space, where he believed mankind's destiny lay. I think the human race has no future if it doesn't go into space, he said. I believe life on Earth is an ever increasing risk of being wiped out by a disaster such as sudden global warming, nuclear war, a genetically engineered virus, or other dangers. More recently, he said artificial intelligence (AI) could contribute to the eradication of diseases and poverty, while warning of its potential dangers. In short, success in creating artificial intelligence could be the biggest event in the history of our civilization. The English physicist was known for his groundbreaking work with black holes and relativity, the nature of space and time. He was the author of several popular science books, including A Brief History of Time, and was also the subject of Oscar-winning film The Theory of Everything in 2014. Additionally, he performed several cameos in the US comedy series The Big Bang Theory. The famed physicist contracted motor neuron disease, a form of motor neuron disease that attacks the nerves controlling voluntary movements, in 1963, and was given 2 years of life. Remarkably, then, at the age of 21, he decided to fight with this disease and quoted that ALS is not the end of the life. I tried to lead as normal a life as possible and not think about my condition or regret the things it prevents me from doing, which was not that many. And even though he admitted to feelings like somewhat of the tragic character. After the diagnosis, he soon returned to work, securing a fellowship of Cambridge and married Jane Wild, with whom he had 3 children. The books of Stephen Hawking. The first most known book was A Brief History of Time. In 1988, Hawkins wrote this book, The Brief History of Time. The short, informative book becomes an account of cosmology for the masses and offered an overview of space and time, the existence of God, and the future. The work was an instant success, spending more than 4 years in London Times. The second book was The Universe in a Nutshell. A Brief History of Time also wasn't an easy to understand as some had hoped. So in 2001, Hawkins followed up his book with The Universe in a Nutshell, which offered a more illustrated guide to cosmology big theories. The third one was A Briefer History of Time and The Grand Design. These books had a lot of knowledge of physics which the students of this day needs to improve their physics and know about the black hole. But the black hole has gone into a black mass, and that's why this is the black day in the history of physics world.